Hello. So once again, just another random and spontaneous video. Talking about the illusion, the greatest illusion. An incredible illusion. So there is no self. It's not here, is it? This immediacy that seems to be here is all there is, isn't it? You know, this immediacy that seems to appear, I mean, the fact that it just appears is, well, phenomenal. But there isn't a self here. So the greatest illusion that I'm talking about is the illusion that you think that you are a character, a me character, a separate self that has a life and multiple stories that you believe have happened. And the greatest illusion would extend to others as well. So you may feel like there are other characters and they have multiple stories also. So what's being shared here is that there's been a realization that this immediacy is timeless and that this really is it. This is all that there is. So when you hear of non-duality speakers saying that there's just this, then all that's being pointed to is the ridiculously simple and obvious truth and fact of this immediacy that's here. So everything that appears in this immediacy is all there is. There isn't anything else. There's nowhere else. So any thoughts that may pop up, any thoughts that might just spontaneously arise of an event or something that may have happened in your apparent past would arise now in this immediacy, in this timeless, unknown existence. So it didn't happen in the past. It can only happen in this. Any thoughts of the past didn't happen in the past. They arise now in this as a thought. And a thought is just a movement of energy, a flicker, an appearance that comes and goes in this. It's a hell of a trick. It's amazing, really. So yeah, if you are new to the channel, thank you for being here. And what's being shared is, well, it seems to be labelled radical non-duality, which is just a word. But all that's being shared is, well, it's just a talking about this immediacy that's here, this aliveness. People call it awareness, consciousness. Not many people seem to talk about it. Nobody knows what it is, why it's here. And obviously what gets talked about in the video as well, in my videos, is the realization that the self-character that you have been conditioned to believe is real, is actually an illusion. It's an imagined story that appears now in this timeless immediacy. So this doesn't move. This aliveness that's here is completely still and silent. But it can appear as movement and sounds, thoughts, sensations, all the sensory processes. But it would seem that the majority of people, if not all, nearly all people in societies around the apparent world, really believe in the illusion. I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong with it. I've always said I think it's wonderful. I think it's amazing how this, whatever this is, nobody knows what this is. This unknown presence, this aliveness that's just always here. Whatever this is, I think it's wonderful how it can pull off such an illusion. It's an incredible illusion, and it does that predominantly through the illusion of time. So this immediacy is timeless. Time is a mental construct. Time can only appear as a thought. A thought that appears now in this immediacy. And that's why the illusion can feel so real. And it's amazing how it does it. So there's like an imaginary timeline of your past, which didn't happen. It can only appear now in this immediacy. It is really difficult to try and explain. If you're watching this and you've not sort of had a glimpse or a clear seeing of what's being shared here, and that you are completely identified with the illusion and the me character, then, you know, don't beat yourself up for not getting it, or, you know, thinking, why the fuck can't I see through this illusion? It's just what's happening. There's nothing wrong and there's nothing right. You know, not many people can, you know, do see through the illusion. It would seem to be quite difficult to see through, but at the same time, it's ridiculously simple and obvious as well. I know it's a paradox. So the seeker, the you, the me character, is the illusion. It's not there. It never was. I mean, some thoughts arose here recently about spirituality. So it seems that, well, it seems like the majority of people are just completely self-consumed, self-obsessed with their own lives. That a lot of people don't question, you know, what this is and why we're here, and they just seem to, you know, go about the illusion and carry on, you know, believing in the illusion with all the imagined stories. And that's okay, you know, there's no judgment here, that's absolutely fine. And then there seems to be a small group of people who question, you know, what this is. And there's a bit of a trap with that small group of people. It would seem that they try to find answers, well, through religion, but also through spirituality. I mean, I did it here, you know, in the story. I was a seeker for decades, and I would never say I would never say I've been religious in any way, really. You know, growing up, there was no religious framework around me at all. But I would very much say I would say I was a spiritual seeker to a certain degree, not a hardcore spiritual seeker. But there was certainly, you know, questions here about, you know, what is this, and, you know, wanting to know answers. You know, and for decades I've watched many videos and read many books of the great masters and spiritual gurus and sages over the years. In fact, I should do a video one time and read out or list all the masters and gurus and speakers and conspiracy theories and religions and, you know, all the things that I've been down all the rabbit holes. I've exhausted a lot of paths and avenues. I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back now in the story, it was probably extreme, and I don't know if that's why there's been a clear seeing here, but through maybe, you know, being exhausted, the illusion can be seen through. I'm not saying that's a technique, by the way, you know, to devour books and watch endless hours of YouTube videos in order to see through the illusion. It might work, it might not. There's no answers. But yeah, what I was saying is, it seems like there's a small group of people that fall into being a spiritual seeker. Now, any form of seeking will keep you on a hamster wheel, will keep you stuck in the illusion. Mainly because spirituality assumes there's a you, a me character, a self that can wake up from the illusion. And it does that subtly, because, of course, many spiritual traditions clearly point that there is no self or doer. But there seems to be a contradiction throughout the spiritual traditions, because they're talking directly to a you and the assumption that you can do something in order to achieve something in the future, which doesn't exist. There's only this timeless immediacy. So the seeker is the illusion. In fact, what you're really searching for is this. But you can't find this because it's already this. That's what I mean. That's the illusion. That's how intelligent this aliveness is, how it can pull off the illusion of the seeker to keep you stuck in the illusion, it would seem. I mean, on an absolute level, or ultimately, what you're searching for is the end of the one who's searching. And if that can be seen through, then the biggest joke of all is that it's realized that that self character was never there. The seeker isn't. The seeker is the illusion. There is no one here. You know, there's no one inside your body. There's no one. All the bodies it's just bones, blood, organs, tissue. There's no self character inside any body. You know, even neuroscience confirms that, which, you know, is another belief. But it's just this immediacy. It's so obvious that it's all just thought based. I mentioned it on a previous video that you know, all countries, the world, places, the past, the future, it's all just thought based. Thoughts arising now in this immediacy. But there's no doer. So there's no doer of actions or thoughts or feelings. It's just whatever appears to be happening. But it can feel so real. It can, you know, I get it. It can feel like, you know, you are that person. That's why I say it's the greatest illusion, but it's also the greatest freedom and liberation. In fact, I would say it's the only true freedom. When it's realized that there is no self, and not intellectually, I mean energetically, you know, you've actually, I don't know, So it's like there's two realities going on at the same time. I know I keep coming back to this as well. I've said it on other videos. There's what's actually happening, and then there's what you think is happening. So you could be driving your car and you pull up at a traffic lights and you see somebody that you know walking by. So that body appears. That's actually what's happening. But what you think is happening is that there's Dave, somebody I know, and then all these stories get layered on top of what is about that person, Dave, in this instance, that you know. So it's all thought-based. So there's the natural reality, your true nature, this aliveness that just is. And then there's the illusion. The illusion that there is a self and other characters, and there's places, and there's a world out there, and there's a past, and there's a future. That's all the illusion. I hope that made sense. I'm trying my best. I do try my best to try and explain it because, you know, I've watched non-duality videos for 5 years. And I've been a spiritual seeker for decades, and you know, there are a lot of speakers that I resonate with, and they explain it really well at times, but it's so difficult to. I think there's just a resonance, you know. That's why, you know, you watching this, you might watch different speakers, and then after a certain time you stop watching them because you're watching somebody else that you resonate with, and there's no one way to say this. So there's not there's no way of saying it really. That's what I mean. Words do fail every time, but you know, we can just. I'm just trying to attempt, you know, what's been experienced here, what's happened here. And I'm trying to do that truthfully and honestly. I don't even know why. There's no real reason for anything. Nothing matters. Nothing matters at all. It'll matter to you. So in the illusion of you, things matter. You know, that thing that you did 10 years ago, fucking hell. Or, you know, you're worried about something in the future. That is the illusion. As I said, there's what's happening or what you think is happening. So any form of seeking will hide this. So this is in plain sight. Everything is in plain sight. But if you're seeking something that other than what is, you're basically seeking something that does not exist. Because everything that exists is here in this immediacy. There's nothing else. That's why spirituality can be a trap to the seeker, because a lot of spirituality promises enlightenment later. You know, if you practice hard enough, if you sit in silence long enough, if you watch 100 hours of Muji, you'll wake up. There's no time. It's this already. It's done. There's nothing else. Whatever's appearing in your immediacy is whole and complete. You could say it's perfect, even if it's not. Even if it appears not to be, because there's nothing else. So you can't arrive at this. How could you get to how could you get to this? It's already this. So yeah, yeah, that was another thing that I was thinking about. Well, not me, but I thought arose here. So thoughts are not yours. You can't choose your next thought. You can't choose how you feel. But yeah, going back to the trap of spirituality, and you know, apologies if this is going to trigger you as well, because you might have invested, oh sorry for laughing as well, you might have invested a lot of effort and time into concepts such as the third eye or the chakras, Kundalini awakenings. So there's nobody that can wake up. There is no self. You know, and I'm not denying that biologically there's a pineal gland somewhere in the head, in these body organisms. But to attach any meaning to that in the sense that it's a third eye, and in order for you to become enlightened, you need to open that third eye. Forgive me if it triggers you, but that is bullshit. There's only this immediacy. This is timeless. There is no next. There's no past. It's all thought-based. So any thoughts that arise now in this immediacy. It's already done. There's nothing you need to do in order to see what is. This aliveness that's here is all there is. There's no awakening. There's no enlightenment. There's no third eye that needs to open for you to see anything or to get anything. I mean, that might not trigger you. That actually might be a relief. I feel like I'm ripping into spiritual traditions today. There's nothing wrong with it. Again, there's nothing right or wrong with anything. So, you know, if you find yourself, you know, going on retreats, spiritual retreats, you know, spending a lot of time and money and energy, that's okay. I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong with anything. You know, if you want to sit and do yoga for 3 hours a day, and try and open your third eye, or work your way through the chakras, all the way to the crown chakra to wake up, then, you know, that's just what's happening. But it's all just stories appearing now in this immediacy. There is no self. There's no doer. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to achieve. Anything that seems to happen in the story or in the illusion of time won't get you anywhere. It's only ever this immediacy. It's done already. There's nothing here. And I know if you're completely identified with the me character and you really feel like the spiritual journey that you might be on will get you to enlightenment, this message might really piss you off. But what would you imagine spiritual enlightenment to be like? So any thought that arises here in this immediacy about a fantasy future, you know, what do you believe that would be like? And whatever that is, whatever image appears, is just an image that appears now in this immediacy. That's all it is. There's only this. This is it. This is what you're looking for. But you can't find it because you're identified with an illusion of a seeker that's seeking something else. It's a joke. You know, I'm no expert at all on biology or neuroscience, or I'm just talking from experience here. There seems to have been, you know, a clear seeing here of this aliveness, this immediacy, and this is all there is. And there was a huge relief here when that was seen from all the seeking and the suffering. But I mean, in the story here, when I you know, when I was a seeker, a spiritual seeker, I could never resonate with the chakras in particular. You know, the root chakra, the heart chakra, the crown chakra. You know, I understand the energy flow, resonance with it, but I mean, it's just an imagined story. It's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. Well, everything's irrelevant. Because there's only this immediacy. So going back to the start of the video, it would seem that, you know, the majority of people are identified with the illusion through conditioning and beliefs. And that's what's been exposed. That's what's being exposed really, is that this immediacy that's here has no beliefs. It has no stories. It has no characters. Yet all them stories and appearances and characters can arise within it. But it's thought-based. It doesn't actually have any. It's not a solid entity. It's what you think is happening. It's not what's actually happening. So yeah, any kind of spiritual identity is just you, the imagined me character, or the ego, putting on a new costume, wearing spiritual clothes. It's just another identity. Which is okay. It's fine. I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong with it. It's just that, what's been seen here is the end of seeking. So this message that I'm sharing is the end of the seeker. It's the end of seeking. It's seeing through the illusion of the self and the doer, and realizing that this immediacy is all there is. There is nothing else. And and I really hope, I've said it before, that these videos don't come across as I know something, or arrogance. That it's not. That's not the intention at all. What's been shared here is that I don't know anything, and neither do you. It's just that you believe that you know something. I used to believe in a lot of things, but when this is seen clearly, beliefs drop, fall away, evaporate, the stories go, the me character goes, the characters go, everything collapses, and you're just left with this immediacy of what is. And this is I call it the final truth. There's nowhere else to go. When the seeker is not there, it's not there anyway. You just think that it is. But when it's seen that it really isn't there, it's game over. But this is what I mean, this immediacy still plays the game. The character still seems to appear, and the stories of the past can arise, but there's no belief in them stories or the thoughts of the me character when they arise anymore, because it's just a thought that arises now in this immediacy. I mean, it is quite surprising though, really. You think, how many religious and spiritual traditions bang the drum really hard in some cases, such as Advaita Vedanta, that there is no doer, there is no self. Yet despite that, everyone just seems to identify with that character and seek and continue seeking for something other than what is already here. I mean, what would you find? Where else? There's nowhere else. There's nothing outside of what appears. So you might have heard the whole world is in you. It's that word you again. I mean, there is no you as in the me character. There's no separate self. But a lot of people, and it's another spiritual trap, this awareness, the claim that this awareness is them, is you. I mean, you could say that, but it gets a bit messy then, because you can become identified. So the ego can claim ownership of this aliveness, but no one knows what this is. You know, how could you claim it's yours? How could you claim it's you? But I suppose, you know, when I hear that, you know, the whole world appears in you, I translate that to the whole world appears in this, and it really does. So, you know, this is what I mean. There's no countries or there's no world out there. It all appears in this as thoughts. It's all thought based. So, you know, the country like sort of Australia or Brazil, Russia, they're not out there. They appear within this. Nothing can appear outside of this. That's what I mean. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to get to. There's nothing to seek or achieve. It's incredible. And there is a deep peace and relaxation when that's realized. Especially when it's realized that there's no one running the show. There's no one in control of your body. There's no responsibility. That character doesn't belong to you, because there is no you, there is no self. There's just a story appearing. Seems to be a program running. So this experience, this experience that's here, this aliveness that's here, it's not yours. It doesn't belong to anyone. That's what I mean. It's incredible. Nobody knows what this is. Like, I mean, the fact that it's even here is overwhelming. You know, here it's you can't really comprehend. I mean, how the hell does this even appear? And then lo and behold, it can appear, and it can appear as very real as well. How it can pull off an illusion that there's a separate you living a life in this world with all these other characters. It's incredible. And again, I don't know why so few people, you know, see through the illusion of the self and the illusion of the world. And you know, sometimes I think, you know, it's as though we're not supposed to see through the illusion, but that again, that's just that's an illusion as well, because that's just a thought arising in this. That's the me character. That's the me character talking. But yeah, I suppose, you know, going back to the spiritual seeker, you know, there really isn't anything to find. You know, there is no future. There never has been a future. ever. Any future can only arise in this immediacy. There's no past. So you've never been born. You're never going to die. So it is freedom in that respect. Well, yeah, a bit of a strange video that. That's why I don't script the videos, so I just click record and see what happens. And I feel like I've had a little go at spirituality there. And you know, again, I've said it earlier. There's nothing right or wrong if you are on a spiritual journey. There is no doer anyway. That's just what's happening. But I don't know, maybe if you're getting a bit tired or fed up or exhausted from the search, I don't know, something might just resonate in this video. The seeker is the illusion. Trying to find something in an imagined future is the illusion. There's only this immediacy. It's always been that way. There is no you character. It's never been there. Oh yeah, thank you for watching.